It's 855-325-1820.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
Accelerated Graphics and Signs, 101 East Renfro, Sweet C in Burleson, Texas, can handle all of your graphic needs. Need a banner or promotional products for your business? They got you covered. T-shirts and caps for your group. All you need to figure out is if you want them screen printed or embroidered. How about some slick graphics on that hot ride to make you stand out from the crowd? Accelerated Graphics and Signs can handle anything you throw at them. Located at 101 East Renfro Street, Sweet C in Burleson, Texas, go in and see them. Call them at 817-991-0523 or reach them on the web at www.acceleratedgraphics.net. They are loud and proud and want to serve you. Accelerated Graphics.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
You're listening to JoCo Community Radio.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to No Judgment here. I am your host, Tish Ross. Tonight, my guest, Shannon Outlaw, is here. And, you know, one of the things that I put on my description in the title was it's all about the attitude. And you're going to find out the reason why behind that after you hear probably not all that Shannon has been through. That would probably take a couple of more shows. And if we have to go there, we will. But for the gist of it, we want to talk about some things that she's gone through in terms of illness. Shannon was a firefighter, and was that in Burleson?
Arlington, Collin County, and a couple other smaller towns that were around.
And how long were you a MS firefighter?
Since I was 25 till 47, 48.
Gotcha. Wow. And so Shannon is here. It's kind of funny how God puts people in your path, but I was at a women's conference here at Pathway Church in Burleson, and Shannon, your mom was Your mom was speaking at the conference, and my husband had a table of we just have a really small little side business. He had a table out there, and I guess you guys started chatting, and then you guys came into the sanctuary, and he was like, you got to talk to Shannon. She's got a great story. She needs to come on the radio. And then that's how we are here. And I am just so grateful that you agreed to come on
Well, thanks for having
share.
me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me. I think I bought a couple t-shirts from you that are great.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good. Thank you. I appreciate that. So Shannon, you have so much that you have gone through and are currently going through. And we also want to welcome Tipsy to the show. Tipsy is Shannon's dog. What is the name? What is the title? Medic?
She's, service animal.
Service animal, sorry.
And I got her for when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I was having seizures like 3 or 4 times a day, real bad. And anyway, she just kind of naturally went by it, and we eventually got her trained by K9 services, and I did my training, and so now I hardly have any. So yeah,
It's
she's my
amazing.
ride or die. She's a
She's
good girl.
precious.
Thank
She
you.
is a good girl. And we actually had dinner together, and Tipsy was amazing. Actually, the waiter had even said, wow, she's better than my kid. You want to trade?
Right.
Because she's so good. She's precious.
I get that offer a lot, actually.
I bet you do. Anyway, Shannon, thanks for coming on. And I want to first find out what kind of child you were when you were younger, and even as you were growing up, what kind of child you were. And one of the reasons why I want to know is because after we discussed all the things that you have been diagnosed with and are going through, you had said something that really stuck out to me. You said, it's all about the attitude, because you have an exceptional attitude, one
you.
that is probably even better than those that are not ill or going through their own traumas. And so I'm curious as to what kind of kid you were growing up. The evil laugh.
Well, let's see. My answer, or what my mother would say. She'd probably say a little mischievous. There's a word that she uses, and I can't remember quite what it was, but I'd be that one. If you had to go to your room, and the door was closed, I'd stick my fingers underneath the door just so you could see that I was outside my room.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Right. But I was involved in every activity that I possibly could be in. Horses, rodeos, cows, livestock shows, and every sport that was available to us in school and out of school. And so I was very determined, I guess, if there was something that I was going to choose to do. And well, that was one of the things Mom said. If you're going to do it, then you're going to do it good, well, and practice and do those things. And so I did really well. Actually, I ended up with a softball scholarship in high school until I had an accident which tore up my knee. So we had to find other ways.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you were the first girl on did you say on the baseball team or softball team, or
not that they liked it. But yes, I was the first girl on the baseball team. It was a 1A school out in East Texas, and I got to play second base for a little while. And yeah, they didn't like it very much, but they did it, and I didn't lose any of my friends or guy friends or anything back then. It was just kind of different.
Yeah.
And there was another girl that followed me. I think she was a grade behind me, and I think she did really well afterwards. So it was good to be able to make a path the way for somebody else.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I love that.
Right.
And how about in middle school, high school? I mean, would you just say that you were just an all around go-getter? Once you put your mind to doing something, you would do it?
Pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when were you first diagnosed with, I know that you had your injury to your knee, right? And that kind of stopped your scholarship.
Yeah. So far, I'd only just had stitches head to toe. That'll tell you how active that I was.
Wow.
Oh yeah. My mom was like, they're going to start seeing us for,
CPS.
Yeah. I'm
Child
not even
Protective
sure if that existed back then, but yeah. So I was, just because, I always went the hardest, and, I tried. Like, softball was a full contact sport with me if needed, if I needed to be safe on second base. I'm just saying. So, just slide right in there.
Well, hence the reason why you got your scholarship.
Yeah, it was one of the reasons.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons.
So aside from those types of injuries, you were diagnosed with breast cancer. Tell everyone that's listening how that diagnosis came, because you said that you had your boss at one of your jobs, actually the one that.
Yeah. So I was a clinical manager at JPS at the time. and they had just built a new women's health center. And my boss, she had said in a meeting, and I was the youngest person, and I think at that time you didn't have to go do that until you were like 40. And I was 35, and everyone else above me was 40 or over. And so I didn't pay much attention to it. And about 2 weeks later, she said, do you have your, it's all right, baby. She said, did you go and get your free mammogram? And I said, no, ma'am. And she's like, you work for me from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and I own you during that time. And next time we walk down the hall, I want you to I need to know that you went and did what I asked. I was like, yes, ma'am. She goes, we need to support the Women's Center, and they need to support you. I'm like, okay. So I went, and I knew that day. They would not say it that day, but I knew that day. So,
and so that was your very first mammogram. Is that
was
correct?
my very first mammogram. I was 35 years old and had no indications, nothing. I was doing well in my career and
feeling well.
I fought to get this job because there was one credit that I didn't have, and they changed the HR. That's how determined I am. So they changed what you needed in HR. It took me several months to get this job, but I was so determined, like there was nothing else,
right?
And so I got that in July, and then I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer in November.
So you say you knew right then. I mean, how?
Because I was in the medical field, and I can tell the reactions on people's faces. And then they had to wait for the radiologist report, and then they did more images, and then just the look on people's face. And so I knew some of them because they took my continuing education classes.
Gotcha.
So they knew who I was. And then there's a radiological report, and it could be scored from 1 to 5. At this time, I don't know if anything's changed. 5 being the worst, and I was a 5. So it was, but nobody will say it, and they will never say the C word until they take a biopsy and get a sent off, and it comes back and is, clarified. But you can see it written all over everybody's face, and nobody was having lots of like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. They're like, oh, well, just don't worry till we get some more tests. We're gonna, but being in the medical field, knowing some of them, I knew, but waiting for the confirmation, which came right day before Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Waiting is always the hardest part.
I mean,
I think, and I'm sure, especially in your case, being able to read the faces and knowing that day, I think waiting to find out, well, how bad is it? And you find out that it's stage 3.
Right. They thought it was stage 2 at one time, and then they had to go in and do a lumpectomy after they had already done my mastectomies and all of that in December of that year. And then in January, they did a lumpectomy, and then that's when, they had realized it had already metastasized to my lymph nodes. So this lady's name was Miss Archangel. And so, I mean, what do you...
legit, her name.
Legit is her name, Archangel. Yes. So,
wow.
So I had a little angel on earth. That, saved my life.
Absolutely.
So that's where I was supposed to be at the time I was supposed to be.
That's right.
Everything happened, I mean, if I would have been anywhere else, and in not the position I was in, her not being the way that she was.
Wow.
And waited till I was 40 years old. Yeah, did duck.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that is so true. That is so, for lack of a better word, that is, the things happen to people. And I think sometimes people, it's all about the attitude. Sometimes people think, why me? Like, how can this be happening to me? But in your case, and even saying that now, is you were in the right place at the right time, the right boss. If
Right.
she hadn't been the way that she was, if you hadn't have,
Yeah.
even if you hadn't been so persistent about getting this job
Right.
and
Yeah.
gotten it, and then your boss being the way she is, and like you said, you may not be here.
Yeah.
I mean, when you find out it's stage 3 cancer, I mean,
Yeah. So yeah, it was all a master plan. I think God's master plan. I'm not super, I'm a Christian,
Mhm.
but it's just like you have all these questions,
of course.
and then I actually got to see that piece
Mm.
actually come full circle
Mhm.
together,
Mhm.
because then that's when I formed the charity with my mom, the Pink Outlaws.
Tell everybody about
And-
what Pink Outlaw is. What is that charity?
Well,
People that are listening.
back then, we formed a charity called the Pink Outlaws, and I did motivational speaking for lots of, THR, American Cancer Society, Relay for Life, some other women's conferences, and things like that. And I would do a lot of motivational speaking, share my story, share that story,
Mhm.
and we just formed a charity to where, and I worked at the hospital. I had the women's center, and so I did keep it close to home,
Mhm.
to where whatever we were able to give, we had t-shirts, hats, ball caps, bandanas, things like that we would sell at like Relay for Life, and part of it would go to American Cancer Society,
Mhm.
and whatever, and then we would keep some, and then I would get letters or stories or somebody, and I knew everybody in the cancer center. My mom and mine's picture still is in JPS. And they ended up putting us on billboards to advertise for it and everything.
Wow.
And so it just that kind of came full circle too. And because pink, was color of breast cancer,
Mhm.
and I want to be an outlaw,
Mhm.
which means I'm, be a fight,
Mhm.
and go against the grain of everything and be tough and just, all right, let's go fight this. And so that's where Pink Outlaws came from. And then I started forming my posse, and so it was the Pink Outlaws and the posse, and I still got a lot of the posse in my life today.
So how long
And
did that charity, is that ongoing, or?
there's a page on there. It's not current
Mhm.
because of everything else. Yeah,
Right.
that has
Mhm.
happened
Mhm.
to me, and I have physically not been in a place to do that for a
Sure.
long time.
Mhm. How long did
And,
that run? How long was that organization?
several years. I think I ran it till 2010 or 12.
Oh, wow. Mhm.
I think somewhere at least till 2010.
Gotcha. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then, so we would just buy gift cards and take them to people whenever I would go talk to the patients that had just had
Hmm.
surgery,
Mhm.
or, somebody want to talk about it, heard about it from me. And, always let everybody know, the cancer center, that I would go and talk to any woman that wanted to maybe talk to somebody that's never had it before. And
Mhm.
so I would go and talk to them. And at this time I was, healthier,
Mhm.
and I could go and do those things. I
Right.
didn't, I beat it.
Mhm. Mhm. So you're cancer free.
I'm cancer free.
And how long? How long have you been?
Well, I'd say I was a survivor since 2005 when I got started.
Mm.
And that's, went through lots of treatment. So, and had to go through double the chemotherapy than anybody else did. So I was sick for a long time, but
Mhm.
it was, I made it.
You did.
So far, I've survived 100 all my bad days.
You sure have. While you're taking a drink, there are a couple of people that are chiming in. Jen Brucker, and I forgot my glasses. So
Brucker.
okay.
That's one of my best friends.
She says, I'm so proud of you. Do great. Mike Ross says, good evening, ladies. Let's see. Mike Ross says, it's good to see you. Shannon, Mike's my hubby.
Hi, Mike.
He says, "Oh, the puppy."
Yes.
And he said, Mike also says, "I love the outlaw mentality." That's awesome. If you guys have any questions or comments for Shannon, please, you can post them in the comments and I will ask her the questions. She has shared that she is open to answering pretty much any question that you may have. So if you have any questions, please post them in the comments in the stream, or you can call 817-637-2585. Again, that is 817-637-2585. And I am watching the comments. So if there's something that comes up, question or comment, I will read that to you, Shannon.
Okay.
So you were cancer free, and you're free from cancer.
Mhm.
And then
I lived great for a little while.
Mhm.
There's more stories in there, but I guess we'll kind of stick to the health,
Mm.
a little bit around the health stuff. But yeah, there was several things in between there. But anyway,
If we have more time, we maybe can dig into a little bit more of those things.
I don't
for
mind. Like I
sure.
told you, I'm open.
Mhm.
I was full metal jacket with you the other day, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I feel like I feel like I know the health issues, and again, I'm just humble that you're here, and I love, again, the attitude. I don't know why that just keeps coming. Is whenever I was chatting with Shannon about coming on, she said that she wanted to come on so that other people that are listening, I mean, vulnerability is very hard. It's hard to be vulnerable at times, I think, for some people, maybe for most, but to want to come on and continue to do good so that other people can hear, so other people won't feel like they're alone. I mean, we're not doctors. We're sharing Shannon's experience, but she agreed to come on and share so that other people will know that you're not alone, and it's all about the attitude. We can keep on keeping on the best that we can.
It is. And if somebody's listening today and then they're like, okay, I'm gonna fight another day
Yes.
and have another tomorrow.
Yes.
And then another tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And then another tomorrow. So
your mom Z is on. She says,
Hey,
Shannon,
Mama.
my darling hero. And just because this just popped into my head. So your group, Pink Outlaw, your last name is
Oh yeah.
Outlaw.
It is.
I mean, legit, legally Shannon Outlaw.
It is.
And I love that. See, that
you.
is so amazing that, things that you want to go and get,
Right.
you go and get.
Yeah, I wasn't born with that name.
I love that. I love that.
I was born with Armstrong, so it's kind of in the same.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah. But
I absolutely
Outlaw
love that.
Was better.
And so when did you legally change your name to Outlaw?
Whenever I got a divorce in 2017.
2017.
So I made sure that was in the papers.
Gotcha.
Because I wanted to get back to doing, being Miss Pink Outlaw.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, what better way? I changed my last name to Outlaw. Because
why not?
Why not?
Yeah,
why not?
You're a fighter. You are a fighter.
I mean, why not?
Well, tell me, as we move forward a little bit, tell me a little bit about how the kidney disease and issue, was that what was next after the breast cancer?
Well, actually, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Okay. I had my first significant episode in 2012. And multiple sclerosis, there's not a test for that diagnosis. It's an invisible disease. And it is a disease that is diagnosed through a battery of tests for everything else. So for 2 years, you are a stick pin, electrocuted, MRI, everything.
What was your
Spinal
episode?
Taps. I ended up, the significant one was I ended up having what's called foot drop. and it's where you like move your foot and it, you know, slaps like that, the concrete. You don't have any control over your foot. And I lost all function of that. And then it came back, and then I was better. And then about 6 months later, it happened again. And so mainly MS is having neurologic episodes through your nervous system that will come and go. That's what I was diagnosed, was relapse and remitting multiple sclerosis, which means that something will happen and it can come back. Like you can lose your vision, it can come back or not, or you get part of it back. I have speech impediments, I guess you could say, at times, where and most of my friends and family have witnessed that. But then it mainly was tinnitus, the ringing in the ears came. That's never gone away. I will probably say that drives me more crazy than anything.
My gosh.
And little seizures. Like I was having seizures before I was diagnosed, but I was fully awake. So I knew they weren't like the regular grand mal seizures, even though they look like it, but I don't lose consciousness. It's my nervous system. So it, you know, in the brain, and I just don't have any control. And then they wouldn't come again, and then they would come. So the seizures, the foot drop, numbness. So several different neurological things that would happen, and then you go away and then coming in. And so, yeah, battery of tests separated by time. And Tipsy wants to talk. She wants to let everybody know she's out. She's here too. And anyway, I hope that I explained that a little bit, but it's a horrible, horrible disease, and it's an invisible disease.
And sounds obviously very debilitating. And has it gotten worse? And I mean, does it come and go?
The kidney disease brought on some things because stress and heat. So summertime, and I do get stressed, and I do have a little anxiety now, where before I didn't. You know, I made critical thinking skills was one of the big things I had to have for my job, because people's lives were in my hand. I was saving other people's lives.
Right.
And I never had any issues with critical thinking skills then. I lose my words. I can say a sentence to you right now and say a word and that's wrong and not even realize I said it. That happens too.
So let me ask you, you know, how does that make you feel mentally when you know that you used to be in a field where you were a critical thinker, you could do it, split second, even less than that, I'm sure, when someone's life was in your hands, knowing now that is
different.
Yes. How does that, and knowing that it's different, you know, because sometimes when people get sick and they lose things or whatnot, maybe even forget how they used to be. And so I don't know if that's a blessing in disguise or a curse. I don't know, but going to commercial, we're going to come back and I want to find out mentally how it makes you feel. All right. Okay. Hey, you guys, Absolutely. We'll be back in just a second. All right.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who is honest and upfront. No hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
Out of dead carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleveland, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleveland, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they got you covered.
When you're hungry for tender brisket or some delicious homemade cobbler, then look no further than Leach Brothers Barbecue, located at 1106 East Henderson in Cleveland, Texas. Leach Brothers has been family owned and operated since 1950. Take it from me, Taco Joe Orwinski. Todd and his family have been filling my belly breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a long time. Heck, I even have my own booth, open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come see them for dine-in, carry-out, and all your catering needs.
The voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
We are back. Joco Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 365 days a year on the TuneIn Radio Network. To listen or watch, simply go to tuneinjoco.com to choose where and how. The Joco Community Radio app is now available for free on Android and Apple devices. Simply search your store. Check out our lineup and more on jococommunityradio.com. This episode and more brought to you by Patriot Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep, Nona Reed, at 844-TEX-HAIL. That's 844-839-4245. All right, we are back with Shannon Outlaw. It's going to be my favorite name from now on. I'm going to read some of these comments we have here. Jen, your bestie, Jen Brucker, says, you're definitely an inspiration to so many. Always keep fighting. Love you.
She's one of the people that helps me keep fighting.
Mike Ross says, what else can you do? Lay down and give up, or fight to conquer whatever life throws at you. Mike Ross, my hubby, says, I totally can relate to Shannon. It's a special kind of breed of folks who refuse to let life's curves take you out. We go out fighting.
Thank you, Mike.
So before the commercial break, I asked, how does it feel, because you were a critical thinker, saving lives, people's lives were in your hands, and you could think in split seconds.
Yeah.
Now that MS, it's debilitating. It's debilitating in many ways. And so you said that you've sort of lost that critical thinking in a sense. How does that make you feel knowing that you have, like in terms of your mental, does it depress you? Does it, how do you deal with that?
You actually found one of the things that hits me really hard. That I cry sometimes, get it out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that one's hard. That one's really hard. My friends, that's probably one. I don't complain much, but I do make it very about that. Like right now, I'm having whenever something hits me like that, it's difficult.
Okay.
It's probably one of the most difficult things for me to do, because it aggravates me so much. And so, my pillow has received a lot of screaming into action for that particular thing, but I feel better afterwards. I am a human being, and being the way that I was, caring for others, and I have my whole life. I've always been that person that that my friends and stuff would come to and talk to,
Mm-hmm.
or strangers telling me things that I'm like, I would never tell a stranger what you just told me, but okay. And so it that one bothers me a lot. It really does. So it can become paralyzing when I get overwhelmed with all these paperwork you have to fill out. If you don't fill it out, it's you know, you're going to lose this benefit or not be able to pay for this. I mean, it's just, I have a full-time job. You know, I have a full-time job.
And so with that, when we were talking the other day, you said that if anyone is sick or ill with a debilitating disease, or even if not, that it's always good to have an advocate.
Yes, you definitely, even me being in the medical field, I saved my life a couple times in the hospital myself, knowing, being a, you know, having a good cognitive day, which I don't always have. But, and we have great healthcare providers out there, but occasionally, you know, things happen.
Sure.
And it's not that you need to know the medical stuff. It's that if you get bad news, or there's a surgery, or there's something and you're scared, you need to have somebody there that hears everything, because you being the patient, whether you want to think you do or not, you don't hear everything. And you always, if you can, have somebody with you. Patient advocacy is one of the hugest things that I think needs to be really, really looked at these days. They do.
I agree.
You can get, you know, I'm fortunate to have family and friends, but summertime was hard because a lot of my family and friends on vacation and stuff and alone. And there's times, I will say that one of my deficits is I have a hard time asking for help. And so I will sit in my house and, you know, for a few days and do nothing, or go without something I need to do. And then it piles up and gets paralyzed. And you don't know what to do. But so getting paralyzed with your thoughts, because you can hear one thing the doctor says that scares you, and you don't hear anything afterwards.
Right.
So
that's that is very, that sounds very, very, I mean, very important. But you're exactly right. I mean, I used to go to doctor's appointments with my mom, and there were things after some of the first appointments that I would say, so what do you think about that? And she was like, I didn't know that. Did he say that? Yeah, he did. So yeah, it is. And also I think an advocate to also help fill out paperwork or go through the paperwork, because a lot of that is,
it's so overwhelming.
it is very, even if you're not struggling, I mean, it is very overwhelming and tedious and repetitive, the same questions. And
especially when you have tremors like I do, and trying to either hit the keys and do it, and then you just say, forget it. I mean, because you can't do it. Or I was at the doctor's office the other day by myself, and I was not having a great day because I had to get out in the heat. But it was the first time that I went to see him, and they gave me a bunch of paperwork, and I was trying to fill it out. My handwriting's horrible anyway, but at least it's legible. But the little shakes or ticks would come in, and I remember that day wishing that I had somebody there with me, because Tip's got 4 paws and she hadn't learned how to write yet. But it was irritating.
I'm sure.
It took forever. And which then makes you tired, and then your eyes tired. So it's a whole thing, especially when you're already having a bad day.
Absolutely.
You know?
And so tell me, so you had been after the breast cancer and then the MS, then your kidneys started
out of the blue. My kidneys failed. I went into immediate end-stage renal failure. Both of them. Just decided that, oh, today's gonna be a good day. Then they we're tired, we're done. And it was out of the blue because I had labs being drawn because of my MS and cancer and all that other stuff. And so I was getting labs drawn quite often. And the labs that I got the month before that, my kidney function, creatinine, the things that are surrounded for kidney disease was in the green, right on point. Couldn't be better. My cholesterol was perfect. I had gotten back to being healthier, and because I used to be really big, and it was like I didn't
just looked good, perfect.
Yeah, but it messed my mind up. I lived by myself. It messed my mind up so much I didn't know really what was going on, and I was kind of scared. But it made me, when stuff like that happens, it changes a lot of the chemicals and metabolism in your body. And then having MS is going to mess with your head. And my parents were on vacation, and I was waiting for them to get back, which I shouldn't have, but I did. And we'll tell you, the people in the medical field are the worst at saying I need to go to the hospital.
I'm sure.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, it took me, and I guess it was at the last minute because I ended up in the ICU, and I don't even remember being in the ICU, and I was there quite a long time apparently. And my first memory is waking up and being on a dialysis machine, which me waking up and being on a dialysis machine freaked me out because I, as a medical professional, knew what that meant. I mean, they have special paragraphs for medical care and all hospital insurance for end-stage kidney failure. It's the big one, even over cancer.
Wow. Wow. And so how are you? So what happened? I mean, you go into kidney failure.
Yeah.
And you're in the hospital ICU.
Yeah.
So how are you? What happened after that?
I ended up on dialysis for a couple of years. And while my brother Brian was getting tested to see if he was a match for a live donor. And it's harder to get a live donor okayed for a match than it is if you're on the transplant list and somebody passes and the kidney gets a match. I mean, if you're up there and you're on the list, you're up there, and they just have the kidney, they can't. But if it's a live donor, I got to make sure that everything is perfect with them and perfect with me, and that it won't affect them. You know, so it's a lot more. So it took about a year for that. And then, he was a perfect match. And 3 days later after the transplant, I went into kidney failure. And then I was diagnosed with a very rare disease that affects 1% of kidney failure patients called focal I can't say it. It's FSGS. Just put FSGS in Google, and that'll tell you what it is. It's hard to say it.
And that's a kidney disease?
That's a kidney disease that eats away at the glomuli of your kidneys, kind of like the MS eats away at your brain. It eats away at your kidneys. And so it had attacked it 3 days later, and it had already taken 50% of my brother's kidney in 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. And it attacks 1%.
Yeah. They didn't even know what to do with me. So, or how to save anything, but I have a Fort Worth Renal. Those are some amazing, amazing people. They saved my life and just started doing everything that they could. So I was in the hospital for 33 instead of 3 days, and still not on dialysis, but I have to have plasmapheresis and immunoglobulin. It was 3 times a week, and then you have to work your way, to where that I wouldn't have to do it so much.
Gotcha.
But yeah. So that was another fight. That was another long fight.
And your brother, he's doing fine today?
He's doing good. Yeah, he's real good.
So you had mentioned earlier that you knew, and we talk about not necessarily religion on this show. I mean, if somebody wants to talk about religion, fine. I don't, but you had chatted, or you said earlier that your first knowing of God was realizing that you got this job. Your boss was the way that the boss was. She made you take this breast cancer, this mammogram, and you found out you had breast cancer, and you knew there was a reason behind that, a higher power, that God was real.
Well, I knew about God and being a Christian, knowing He was real since I was very little. However, He let me see a circle.
Yes.
He let me see one full circle of the question why.
Yes.
I got to see that. I still haven't got to see why for the rest of these, but I pretty much quit asking. I mean, so, but I did get to see it for the breast cancer, but for the MS and the kidney disease, I don't know, maybe this is why, and that's what I always said. If I can at least talk and share my testimony in my life, it's because there's a lot more. I mean, all of these things come with a whole lot of other problems, but for the most part, I just fight and try to have a good attitude. And I think having a good attitude towards it mentally, I think your mental health is so important.
Yes.
Because it's not to say that I don't have bad days, that I don't want to talk to people sometimes on the phone. I don't want to go and do something. I just want to sit in my house and be pissed for a minute.
Sure.
But again, I get back up and I go, and if I don't miss my doctor's appointments, I do everything they said that I have to do. I take 40 something pills a day, so yeah. Oops.
Went down just a little bit.
There we go.
That's okay.
Woo, ride.
You guys can't see it, but Shannon's chair just kind of slid down a little bit. But I wonder, and I've read and witnessed a lot of people who have been ill, who have had great attitudes. And then I've also done some research and have been made aware of how others, and I can say understandably so, but I wouldn't know unless I was there or experienced it. But I can kind of, for lack of a better word, I can kind of understand maybe, or get an idea of why someone would decide, this sucks, I'm done. I don't, and have a bad attitude. I mean, and so with that research and kind of comparing the two, that life with the bad attitude has ended quicker, and it was a terrible ending to a life on earth. And so with that being said, and you having again such a great attitude, have you sought counseling through all of this? I mean, or just born this way? Or
I was born this way, pretty much. However, there has been occasions, like, whenever I had the MS, I had to, it was mandatory, and then you had to have a evaluation to see where you were and their deficits and, all of that type of stuff. And so periodically I have, if I feel, okay, there's, something maybe, but no, I was pretty much born this way. So I wouldn't say that I've had a lot. I've gone to things that are like a one-time, go and listen to somebody else and that type of thing. And I mean, I believe in it, but
sure. And you also have friends or a good support team that you can just say, I'm having a bad day. This sucks.
Right. I have a couple of friends that, I definitely can call and say, all right, yep. And they know what I'm saying. I pretty much just say, all right, okay. And they're like, all right, you need a day? Yep, need a day.
Thank goodness.
So we'll go, sometimes it's just being tipsy as well,
Mhm,
you
mhm.
know, but it's fighting your way back
Mm.
because again, I am human. I do get
Absolutely.
down. And I don't know, I plan on being around a while.
Mhm.
I'm not supposed to be here. My brother's like, sis, you just can't die. He goes, you can't die. He goes, you've been close a couple of times and with some other things because of complications that have
Mhm.
happened where, yeah, I mean, all right, let's call the whole family,
Mhm.
yeah. So
Mhm.
that's happened a few times. And, it's funny because we're like, it's Shannon. And
Now,
that makes me feel good because I
yeah.
know if I have anything to do with it, I will fight,
Mhm. Mhm.
So I don't understand why or how everything has happened. I think I was doing pretty good with the breast cancer thing and getting over that and the MS. And, even though I got some of that coming, but I will say the kidney thing has thrown me and knocked me down for longer than any of the rest of it has. But
Mhm.
it's because it's continuous. And then I will be back on dialysis again and I will not be able to receive a transplant. So
Mm.
they said there was like a 10% chance of me maybe getting one only if I had a live donor, but
Hmm.
so
Mhm. So, what are your thoughts on? And I know we still have plenty of time. You and I, when we were at dinner, we were talking about compassion training and how taking care of someone who is ill can be extremely taxing on the caregiver.
correct.
Do you? I mean, you can do most everything yourself. Take care of yourself. Is that
Well,
correct?
most of the time now,
Mhm, mhm,
not always. I've
mhm.
had home health care. I've been
Mm,
bedbound for 8 weeks to where they sold my car before. I got a
mm,
scooter. I have handicap license plates, on my vehicle,
mhm.
and I get the looks, and I don't always park in handicap, but nobody knows I may have a hard time walking that day or because when the thing I get that it's people are trying to be nice. They're like, but you look so good.
Mm. Mhm, mhm.
And you just smile and say thank you because they're trying to be nice.
Right, right.
They are.
Mhm,
But sometimes it's when I'm out and I'm being seen, it's everything I can do to be out and being seen. But I
mm.
know it's going to help me mentally and physically to go do something and not just stay in my box and die.
Yes, absolutely.
you know, um, but no, I developed a program back when I was doing clinical education. I'd worked with the counselors there, and they had
Mhm.
talked to me, and they wanted me as a clinician to develop this program so that they could teach it and that they could teach it to caregivers.
Mm, mhm, mhm,
And so, where basically is you do, especially if you're empathic and you
mhm.
feel and you have all these feelings and you don't release those feelings of seeing, a mother that beats up her 2-year-old and brings it
Mm,
in and
mhm.
denies it, or a boyfriend and their mom, and it's a little girl, and you come in and the little girl's been abused by the boyfriend and the
Mm,
mom is taking the boyfriend's side, and then
mm,
you just the car wrecks or the drunk fathers and the kids are the one that die, or drunk parents or drunk
mhm.
relatives, not fathers. But I have a particular case in my head, and that's where that came from because I had to take 2 little angels to the
Mm,
morgue on my first day working trauma hall at Children's in Dallas, and so I will never get their
mm.
image out of my head. But I look back at them now, and I see halos around their little heads.
Wow, wow.
I can't, and there weren't any, but when I in my head,
Sure,
that's what it is.
sure.
So, but so when you are especially in critical care, emergency room, firefighter, paramedics, or nurses, any caregivers, and you are on a constant, you are doing it constantly, you're doing it constantly, and these people feel bad, right? So a lot of patients aren't good to the staff and say things, and you could be having a bad day. You and your spouse or whoever is fighting, somebody's threatening divorce, you still have to go to work and you got to take care of somebody, and they ain't compelling
Sure.
to you. So it's a whole thing of of mental health, to when you get to the point that you can't do your job and be compassionate in doing your job, because this is the career that you went into, and you can't have the respect for your patient no matter what, because that is your job. It's time for you to take a little break. Not that you don't have to do it, but it's time for you to have a mental health break. It's time for
And
you
it's okay to do
things.
that. And I think
Absolutely.
people that do stay at home and take care of family members, I saw even with
Same
my
with them.
dad. Yeah, absolutely. And
And doesn't mean you're bad or
it
being
doesn't.
bad or should feel guilty.
Exactly.
You got to
Exactly.
take care of you to take care of them. And that was one of the things we were first taught in firefighter paramedic school, is to take care of yourself. And that was hard for me, but the concept was, if you don't take care of you, you can't save them.
Right.
So you may want to jump down, do this, and be a hero without, the ropes and everything, and because it's a kid. But if you do and you hurt yourself, just hurt who you were trying to
Exactly.
save. So that was a hard concept.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like on the airplane when they say put the air mask on first and then
Exactly. Perfect example. I love
put the air mask on the other.
visual examples.
Yeah.
People really hold on to those.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
do. They do.
And so if somebody wanted to reach out to you, maybe they've gone through or are going through some of the same things, or how can they get a hold of you on Facebook, and under what name?
Well, for a public Facebook, I'm under Shannon Faith, which is my middle name right now. So that's another conundrum. Shannon, I'm a faith outlaw, Shannon Faith Outlaw. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So under Shannon Faith.
Yeah, that would be the messenger. I'm working on the other stuff again a little bit, but it's going to take me a whole lot longer. It would take an 8-year-old probably 10 minutes, but yes, they can message me on there. Just give me a minute, because I know they go to a different folder, and there are certain days I can't answer my phone. There's certain days my phone, my hands work better, my mouth works better, and
sure. And you can also, if you're listening, you can also post here in the comments here. You can send me a message on Facebook as well, and I'll get you connected with Shannon Faith Outlaw.
Oh, I hear the music. I want to thank you so much, and everybody that came to listen.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. You did some good today. I know you did.
I hope to be back.
You will be. Thank you,
right.
Shannon.
Thank you.
Hey, you guys have a good night. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview.